Hey, Eagle fan, I gotta be real with you. Things got kinda messy last season, right? Like, you could feel something was off every single game, especially on offense. It just didn't look like the same team we were used to watching. But at the same time, there's a lot happening behind the scenes right now that could completely change the vibe going into next season. And honestly, it might be setting up something big for this team. But before we go any further, make sure you've hit that like button if you've been a Philadelphia Eagles fan for over 20 years. It's always incredible to see fans from every generation showing love. And if you can, drop this in the comments. Go Eagles! Now let's get straight into it. The truth is, when you break down the 2025 season, the biggest disappointment wasn't just the results, it was how the team got there. Coming off a Super Bowl victory in 2024, expectations were sky high. But what unfolded offensively was frustrating, inconsistent, and at times hard to watch. The promotion of Kevin Patullo to offensive coordinator simply didn't deliver what the team needed. The scheme lacked rhythm, the play calling felt disconnected, and week after week, the offense struggled to find any real identity. And when you look deeper, it wasn't just one issue, it was a chain reaction. The run game disappeared, and while some might point fingers at Saquon Barkley, the reality is much different. The offensive line, which had been the best unit in football during the Super Bowl run, took a massive step back. The physical dominance that defined this team vanished. Protection broke down, lanes closed up, and everything from explosive plays to red zone efficiency suffered because of it. This directly impacted Jalen Hurts. Imagine dealing with constant change. 2025 marked his 10th offensive coordinator in 10 years as a football player. That kind of instability shows up on the field. His performances were inconsistent, not necessarily because of his ability, but because the structure around him was unstable. Now here's where things get interesting, and, honestly, encouraging. While the offense struggled, Vic Fangio's defense quietly became one of the best units in the league. After early adjustments and the return of key players like Nakobe Dean, plus the addition of Jalen Phillips at the trade deadline, this defense elevated into a top 3 unit in the NFL. That's not speculation. That's elite production, right alongside teams like Seattle and Houston. So what does that tell us? The foundation is still there. This is not a broken team. It's a team with a very specific problem. And that problem is the offensive line. Jordan Mailata, one of the most physically gifted tackles in the league, openly admitted he didn't play at an all-pro level. Landon Dickerson battled through knee and back injuries to the point where retirement was even a consideration. Cam Jurgens, despite being named a Pro Bowler, clearly wasn't himself. And Lane Johnson, while still elite, only played 10 games. And the difference in team performance with and without him was drastic. Think about that for a second. 4 of the highest-paid players at their positions, and the unit still underperformed. But here's the key turning point heading into 2026. Both Dickerson and Jurgens took major steps this offseason to get healthy, even traveling to Colombia for stem cell treatment in an effort to fully recover. And Jurgens revealed just how serious things were. He played through a herniated disc that actually broke off and wrapped around his sciatic nerve. He said it was the worst pain of his life, and yet he still pushed through during a Super Bowl run. Now, he's finally starting to feel like himself again. That changes everything. Because if this offensive line returns even close to its 2024 form, the entire offense transforms overnight. Protection improves, the run game comes back to life, and Jalen Hurts gets the stability he's been missing. This isn't about rebuilding. It's about restoring what already proved to be championship caliber. And don't forget, there's pressure here, not just on Hurts, but on the big boys up front. This unit has to deliver. The contracts, the expectations, the standard in Philadelphia, it all demands a bounce-back season. Now, at the same time, Howie Roseman is already looking ahead, because that's what he does best. Whether it's exploring big-name possibilities like the Myles Garrett situation or preparing for the draft with the 23rd overall pick, the Eagles are positioning themselves to stay competitive long-term. And speaking of the draft, keep an eye on names like Caden Proctor, a massive and athletic offensive lineman from Alabama who could be a future cornerstone, or even Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, a physical safety prospect who could fill a real need in the secondary. So you're starting to see the bigger picture now. Health improvements, strategic planning, and a clear understanding of what went wrong. That's how this team plans to bounce back. But here's the real question, and I want to hear from you. Do you truly believe this Eagles offensive line can return to elite form and carry this team back to Super Bowl contention in 2026? And if not, what move do you think Howie Roseman absolutely has to make? And this is where things start to get even more intense behind the scenes, because while the offensive line recovery is the biggest internal storyline, there's another situation developing that could completely shift the balance of power in the NFC, and it involves a name that every Eagles fan instantly recognizes: Myles Garrett. Now, let's be very clear here, because there's a lot of noise floating around. Publicly, the Cleveland Browns have made it known they are not trading Myles Garrett. That's the message. That's what's being reported. But if you've followed the NFL long enough, you already know how this works. Teams don't come out and openly say they're shopping one of the best defensive players in football. That's not how leverage is built. What matters isn't what they say, it's what they do. And what they did recently raised a lot of eyebrows across the league. The Browns adjusted the structure of Garrett's contract, specifically in a way that makes a post-June 1st trade far more manageable from a financial standpoint. That's not random. That's not just paperwork. That's strategic flexibility. You don't restructure a deal like that unless you're at least considering your options. Think about it from Cleveland's perspective. You have a 30-year-old pass rusher, still elite, but making around $40 million per year. And your team is potentially heading toward a rebuild. Now ask yourself this: what accelerates a rebuild faster? Holding on to a superstar with a massive contract, or flipping that asset for multiple first-round picks and resetting your roster? That's the real conversation happening internally. And this is exactly where Howie Roseman enters the picture. Because if there's one general manager in the NFL who is always ready to strike when an opportunity like this appears, it's Howie. He's aggressive, he plans ahead, and he's never afraid to make a bold move if it puts the Eagles in position to compete for another Super Bowl. Now imagine this defense, with Vic Fangio already turning it into a top-3 unit, adding a player like Myles Garrett to that front. We're not just talking about improvement. We're talking about domination. We're talking about a defense that could take over games on its own. But, and this is important, it all depends on the price. Because as much as Garrett would be a game-changer, giving up multiple first-round picks is not a small decision, especially when the Eagles are also trying to reinforce key areas like the offensive line and the secondary through the draft. And that brings us back to pick number 23. Because this draft is not just about adding talent, it's about sustaining success. Howie Roseman has built a reputation for being early rather than late when it comes to roster transitions. He did it with legends like Fletcher Cox and Jason Kelce, preparing for the future before the decline ever hit. And now, we could be seeing that same philosophy in action again. Caden Proctor is a name that keeps gaining traction. A massive presence out of Alabama, incredibly athletic for his size, and someone who has already shown he can transform his body and improve his conditioning. Starting the 2025 season near 400 pounds and cutting down significantly shows commitment. And that's exactly the type of mindset this organization values. He's not just a tackle for the future. He's a potential immediate contributor, whether that's inside at guard or eventually replacing a veteran on the edge. Proctor fits the identity of what this offensive line needs to get back to: physical, dominant, and relentless. Then there's Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. And this one is flying a bit under the radar, but it shouldn't be. At 6'3", 201 pounds, with strong athletic testing and a physical mentality, he brings something this defense currently lacks: presence at the safety position. Right now, that's one of the thinnest areas on the roster. And in a Fangio system, having versatile physical safeties is critical. He's the type of player who can come downhill, control the middle of the field, and add another layer of toughness to an already dangerous defense. So when you connect all the dots, here's what you get: a team that already has elite pieces, a defense that's trending toward dominance, an offense that could explode again if the offensive line returns to form, and a front office that is actively exploring every possible path to maximize this window. This is not a team standing still. This is a team preparing to make a serious push, and that's why the 2026 season feels different already. There's urgency, there's intention, and there's a very real belief inside the organization that this group can get back to the top of the NFL. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think the Eagles should go all in and try to trade for Myles Garrett? Or would you rather see Howie Roseman build through the draft and trust the young talent already coming in? And if you've made it this far, make sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like on the video, and click the video that's on your screen right now. Because if you want to stay updated with everything happening around the Philadelphia Eagles, all the breaking news, all the behind-the-scenes moves, you'll only find it right here first.